Sometimes you're having one of those days, right? So try not to take ownership, lose the ownership of the world's terrible problems that you can't have control over. But also pick the things that you do have control over. You know, one of the ones is that, you know, one of the things that you do have control over is that I'm poor, or that the camera's not working right. You know, that's one of the things that you can have control over, maybe, is getting the camera to work right. Yeah, there we go. See? So you can also pick the things that you're not having, that you do have control over. Every one of us in our family right now has had something that has not made them happy, they've had control over and overcome, right? So I think that we know about that. There are some of us who have had some really, really big obstacles to overcome. I don't need to name them, I'm not going to go into that, but there are some of us who have one day are going to share even more with us what they've come through. So the summary of omnipotence, or openness, is that every human being has been designed to have a direct connection with the universal creator God. That connection is formed with energy, and the use of affirmations coupled with hope to make the connections causes results. We understand the science of frequencies, which can have power increasing results or negative results depending on how we use it. Affirmations are different from prayers. We've gone through that. We have to clear the clutter. We've gone through that. And we know there are things in our lives that we cannot control. Therefore, we have to not take ownership for those things. And you have to define your own affirmations about your omnipotence now. Now, this is a good one. You know how when you pray, when you're in church, how you phrase that prayer, I believe, has an impact on how that prayer is going to be received by God, and how that prayer is either going to be answered or not, or even listened to and not. And I think this is something that's really important for us to start understanding about our relationship with our Creator. I don't think whiners get replied to. Let me just be blunt about it. I don't think people that constantly whine and complain about what's been happening to them and who's done this to them get a whole lot of capital and grace with our Creator. And that's not to say that there's not empathy there, that there's not empathy for the person's situation. I'm not going to go there. But I think that there's a whole lot more probability that you're going to get what you're looking for with the use of affirmations in establishing a positive relationship with God. And here's a very important key, and I hope that everybody, this took a long time for me to realize, because I think that our leaders, particularly our leaders, who think that they don't have accountability in this, are losing a lot by not doing what I'm about to say. These people do not accept accountability and responsibility for the omnipotent power that they have granted to them in their creation. I want you to think about that for a minute. I mean, I'm not saying all of them are that way. We know that, right? I mean, there are great leaders and business people who are in it to win it. Now, let's see, where'd that come from? I think Darlene probably knows what I just said. I just got introduced to this thing that I hope is going to help me in many ways, but we're in it to win it is a really cool phrase. But we have got to establish with God that we understand our responsibility and accountability with the power that's been granted to us to create. And I think that part of the limitations that we have in our ability to create is the fact that we don't accept that we have responsibility and accountability for what we do. We've been given free will to do some amazing things. And as we evolve as humans, to be able to do things like create computers and to fly into outer space and to just do these great things with genetic coding and all that kind of stuff that makes us creators in our own right, that once we understand that we have to be responsible or we're going to be held accountable in what we do, once we really understand it, once these people that have these amazing abilities come to that realization, then the omnipotence piece snaps into place in the super puzzle so much better, so much easier. If we can just get through that. When I watch people, especially in our United States government right now, the way they're acting, they are fighting like 2-year-olds that all they've got to do is just realize that that's what it is. They're not accepting their accountability, their responsibility for what they're doing. And it goes in our churches, it's that way in our government, it's that way in our parenting, and it's that way in the parents that taught us. The poor people, bless their hearts. All we have to do is do those things. And it seems so darn simple, doesn't it? I mean, it's easy for us to say this stuff, but we're all sitting here looking at each other in the face, knowing that we struggle with that. We struggle with being able to accept this fact that we have the power. We struggle with that all the time. When we go out here and we get behind the wheel of an automobile, how much power do we have in our hands? How much power is that? And then when we run that car into a tree and kill somebody, how quick are we to say, it wasn't my fault? It was God's fault. I don't know about that, man. I don't know. I don't know about that, see? Or the fact that this crazy SOB named Adolf Hitler decided that he was going to wipe out all the Jews in the world. Do you think that he felt any accountability or responsibility for that crazy action that he did, that genocide that he was taking on? That had to be, I mean, he had to be completely devoid of any accountability or responsibility in the power that he was given to control people's thought. I mean, think about the power that man had. I mean, oh my God, it was just, when I study this guy, he was one of the most brilliant minds in human history. And he used that to slaughter millions of people. And even today, we see it in the Middle East, we see it everywhere, where people are using the power that God gave them, bestowed upon them, to do the most dark things. And all we have to do is just pull it back in and understand that we have been given the power to love with that omnipotence, to love with it. This is what's heavy on my head. This is what's heavy on my shoulders tonight. This is what is on my shoulders that I feel like that I should be able to control. I'm sad. I get depressed about it. The Hope Institute, that's what I want to share with you all tonight a little bit. I'm gonna get into pure love with you a little bit here because I got something I want to read to you. We struggle with this. We were granted the free will to do these things, to learn these lessons. And it's so blatantly simple to operate from the honesty navigation system from within. So simple. And yet, God created us with different colors and different cultures for us to learn lessons from one another. And what do? We hate on each other instead of learning from each other. What the hell is that about? Why? It's beyond my understanding. I was taught, not by my mom or my dad, but by people that I brought up when I didn't have a dad. I was taught hate. I was taught hate as part of being a white man in the neighborhood I was brought up in. That was part of my coming of a man at the age of 13, 14 years old. Luckily, I was able to get out of it, bring myself out of it. But that was part of the cultural norm. And I'm sure that our Black Americans have the same thing going on in their culture. And our Asians too. I mean, it's all this stuff that's been taught to us. Anyway, I love you guys. And we're here to learn.
Can I say something?
Sure, yes, please.
I think the use of your use of the word simple is very appropriate, because while it might be simple, it's not easy. And
right,
one of the reasons why is because it is just naturally easier to take the road of least resistance. And the road of least resistance is what will lead us down that path away from God, because we can find ourselves immersed with people that will uphold great evil. Because in order to love, you first have to love yourself. And so many people are in this world at this time who are aching for love themselves. They don't know where to find it. They don't understand who God is. And so it's hard for them to then turn around and love others. So it is far easier to be angry and to project that anger on somebody else. It's far easier to be self-destructive and present that to pass that self-destruction onto somebody else by being destructive towards others than it is to sit back and hear the voice of God. Because usually, as in my situation, it was covered up, and I had to do a year's worth of excavation. And I'm sure, and it sounds like you've been through a similar experience, where you had to go through years of excavation to discover the diamond mine that is in you.
Right.
And so that's the challenge, is we have so many people who we all recognize that everybody has great potential because of this diamond mind or platinum mind or whatever you want to call it, this invaluable soul that they have within them, but they haven't been raised to understand that. A lot of children today have only been allowed to grow up. Yeah. And so while the information is there, it is far easier to take the road of least resistance, and the path of evil is the road where you will get the least amount of resistance.
Thank you for that. Anybody else want to add anything before I move on? Okay, I really would like for everyone to do the omnipotence vision statement that you have for yourself. It's crucial that you do that. It's in your workbook. And I called it openness. One of the things that evolves in an author's mind, in a writer's mind, a lot of times is what the next revision is going to be. Openness has become omnipotence. And I think that's more appropriate, because I'm not afraid anymore. I once was afraid to say the omnipotent word. And I've had people coach me to say, be careful with the omnipotent word because you're going to raise people's ire about that. But I'm not afraid anymore because people want to know, people need to know that they have this ability. We've been, there's people that spend their entire lives going to monk missionaries and places and trying to figure out why people can put the handprint in a rock. Right? There's this guy named Kevin that was one of my mentors who's in prison right now. And one of the things he taught me was about this thing about going to this mission and spending months in this cave and figuring out how to put a handprint into a rock. And it happened. This happened. You can go there now. You can see the handprint in the rock, embedded forever. These are the kind of things that humans can do. Have you ever seen somebody walk on hot coals? Now, that defies science, does it not? I've seen somebody do it. And here's another one. They teach this in Rishi, how to ground yourself to the earth. I've done this. You can ground yourself to the earth so somebody can't move you. Yes, they can come and tackle you. They can do that. But like if you're standing there, like with your elbows like this, and you do the exercise and you do it the right way, two people can be on each side of you and they can't lift you. Can't do it. I know how to do that. Anyway, the power of the human is infinite. I know this, but I'm still locked down here, right? I will tell you that I have gravitated. Now you're going to hang up on me. You're going to think I've gone insane, but I'm telling you right now that I have gravitated. I have out, and I don't know how I did it, but it was on that mountaintop that day when I got that white streak in my hair that I had an experience that has led me to where I am today. This is why I'm here today. And I have listened to people since who have helped me to understand why I have not gotten to where I need to be. It scared the hell out of me. Okay? Scared me. It scared me, and I've had people say to me, and I've been listening to people who coach about this stuff, until you're ready, until you can actually just give it up. Because here's the thing. My sister Sheehan has done this. She's out there right now. I ain't got the nerve. I'll be honest with y'all right now. I don't have the nerve. I have not got the nerve to just walk away from everything and just go do. Sheehan has gone and done. I love you. And I'm just amazed at what she has been able to do because she listens to her heart. She has been grabbed by the spirit and she's out there doing what she's got to do. All right. So listen. So I'm weak in that way. But let me tell you something. I got the power of God coursing through me right now. I think you can feel it. I think you can see it. I want to read something to you. It's from my mama. This will lead us into the next lesson that we're going to have, and I hope that Helen is listening. Particularly, I want Helen to hear this. It's titled Love. Imagine that, right? There are words to be spoken which no one wants to hear. Thou, lady, art the speaker of such words. I love you are such words which others fear to hear. To most, I love you means a bargain to be struck, a binding tie, a gift to be returned in kind. Thou, lady, also grew to understand. I love you in these ways. Now thee must learn to let great love flow through thee out upon the world around you. Without fear of what you ask or what you get, by letting love flow through you. Now, lady, love is not a sentiment, nor is it a soft, warm feeling, nor is it a duty. Love is not sweetness. Love is not a union. Love is a recognition of another's greatness, of another's value to the universe of being. Love is a recognition of another's unique beauty, be it insect, leaf, or human. Love is being awestruck with the amazing qualities of life, endlessly expressed in countless different ways by every being, creature, and creation. Love is recognition of one's own greatness, unique beauty, and essential contribution to the universe of being. Love does not look down to say, I love you. Looking down is pity. Love looks up. Always love looks up. Even at the ants and grains of sand, love looks up in grand appreciation of the wonders love beholds. Love is recognition of a kindred soul in every blade of grass, every cow, every criminal. Love pours forth on all. Love does not bestow a value on creations love beholds. Love recognizes vast eternal value in all that moves and dwells within a universe of being. Love gives a gift of hope to all who struggle in the darkness because love recognizes kinship within the dark and with the creatures struggling with therein. Blessed is she who can open self to love. Blessed is he who lets love flow through him out upon the world which he beholds. Blessed are they who splash each other with the flow of love, never striking bargains, never making deals, always gazing in astonished recognition of the wonders they behold in one another. Lady, in recent days gone past, as in the counting of your time, you caught a glimpse of this potential in yourself. You glimpsed an opportunity, an ability to let the universal energies of love flow through you, flow out from your eyes on all you see before you. Thou art closer than you think to this. You know you need to do this, or be forever sorrowing within your ever-changing world. You now begin to feel you want to do this. You know your strength lies in the awestruck recognition of each creature's unique beauty, unique value to the universe of being, unique kinship with yourself. This is love. And if love feels as though it breaks your heart, let your heart be broken. What you call heart has atrophied in you and many others. It must be broken to release the inner seed through which love can grow. All adult hearts now dwelling on the planet Terra have been hardened by your weary social culture. All babes are born with open hearts. All babes are fountains of loving recognition of the wonders of the universe of being. All babes are taught to turn their fountains off, to harden their hearts, to face reality, to become hagglers and bargainers, profit takers and cheaters. Therefore, let your hardened heart be broken by your awe-struck recognition of the wonders of the world. Let thy fountain flow once more. Let love flow through you, out of your eyes, out of your newly self-creating heart, out upon all that you behold. And what of those who try to harm you? What of disease and war and earthquake? How are you to gaze upon these feeling awestruck recognition of their unique value and unique beauty? How are you to let love flow on these? Lady, all that happens to you in your world, you call to you. And all you call unto yourself, you call up for your own purposes and goals, your own discovery, your own learning. Every event and circumstance which touches you, however slightly, has been called to you by your own will and mandate, for your own purposes and goals. Therefore, if someone tries to harm you, gaze with awestruck recognition. Gaze with love upon the person who hath called to try and harm you. Know this person comes because you will it so. You have agreed with him to do you so, in order to help you learn a wisdom you require and wish to know. Perhaps you need to learn karate. Perhaps you need to learn to duck beneath a whizzing bullet. Perhaps you need to die or learn to stand courageous. Inquire within yourself to discover why people and events are touching you. The why is always there, inside. And once your purpose is discovered, apply yourself with vigor to learn the lesson, to grasp the wisdom. Grease your wheels of learning with the flow of love, with a startled recognition of wonder you behold. Accept its unique beauty, understand its unique value to the universe of being, and thus to you. To a babe, a pile of dung is just as wondrous as a pile of feathers or a pile of gold. Rediscover wonder in your heart. Rediscover recognition of all creatures. Unique beauty, unique value. Let these vast discoveries flow forth as love. Understand the place each creature and creation has in your unique harmony of being. Use all wisely. Treat all with honor and respect. Eat no dung, nor flush away your eyeballs, but respect the blind. They know things you cannot know. Respect the creatures who eat and use the dung. They find value where you cannot, where you must not. Let startled recognition of your kinship with dung beetles and the blind and all else within your world flow forth in fountains. Let love flow forth. That's my mama. Thank you for listening to that. You know, when I listen to those kind of things, those kind of readings, I can only help but feel that my mom lives within me. And that she's never really left, that she just is within me, and that perhaps we're just as close now as we ever were. She's been dead for a long time, but she lives on.
Rick,
I did this right here.
Rick,
Yes, Darlene. Darlene, go ahead.
have you ever heard the song entitled "I Hear Voices"?
Don't think so.
A country and western song. He starts off with, I can't sing it, but it's I hear voices. I hear my mama saying. I hear my daddy saying. You hear the voices from the past. So yes, you do hear them.
Yeah.
They're always talking to you still, and even if it's just memories,
Yeah.
it's still talking to you. I just always love that country and western song, because when he starts it off, you think he's talking crazy or whatever until you realize what he says. Anyway, I just thought you might get a kick out of that one too. Little light humor there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good old country and western songs, they're right to the heart.
They sure are. That's one thing about country music, is it definitely speaks to the heart. No doubt about it.
Yeah. And so you can find some really good country and western songs to give you messages that you're looking for and answers. Anyway, I just when I read your book, often certain passages I'll think of something that's an old country and western song that'll come back to me, especially some of Elvis's spiritual songs.
Yeah, it looks like Kai and Wisdom sent me something here. Voices by Chris Young.
Yeah.
I'll check it out. Okay, so I think that the reading I just did is the best lesson I could give you on pure love. And I will, maybe I can make that available in another writing that I do. I promised Darlene I was going to give her another piece that Mom wrote. She was a very powerful spiritual being. And she mentored me right up to the day she died. In fact, I helped her pass over. So pure love is the next thing we're going to get into. And so I would hope that you would go into that chapter next with an understanding of what I just read to you being at the forefront of your thought pattern as you start thinking about where we are in our work together. Jesus was so misunderstood that it cost him his life, I think. And I know that a lot of people believe that they have a certain belief about why Jesus died and that kind of thing. But I think one of the core things about it was that people just did not want him to spread his pure love message. Because can you imagine that if he'd been allowed to carry on and been allowed to spread his message, where we would be as human beings at this point?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So as we move on together and you start feeling the energy that's going through me right now, I don't know if you feel what I feel. I hope you do. It took me 30 years. Well, it's been 30 years. It took me about 15 years, 20 years to get to where I can feel like I feel right now, this minute, this second. You can't smoke this. You can't shoot this in your arm. You can't drink this. You can't do anything with this except accept it and bring it home. I mean,
And it'll get you the best high you've ever had.
yeah,
Believe me.
yeah. And anyway.
You know, there was I have a little quote from a tea bag. And it said, the difference between a rose and a dandelion is judgment. The difference between a rose and a dandelion is judgment. And it made me think of that along with many other things, just all confirmation. Your mom was a very wise woman. And I feel like while her physical work was done on the earth, she carries on some of her work through you, by the way that you speak of her and relate to her. But she was very well versed in all the aspects of love, because it isn't just a one-dimension thing. I am so grateful that she was led to touch on so many different points, because it's not just about emotion or a feeling, or between, a man and a woman and this and that and the other thing. Because my company's name is Love Enterprises, but love is an acronym. It's L.U.V. and it stands for Learn Your Value. But there's three different meanings, and one of the meaning, thank you, to God be the glory, he gave it to me. One of the personal definitions for love that God gave to me that goes along with the meaning of love is the opportunity, blessing, and challenge of seeing God and Goddess in others, especially when they don't see them in themselves. Honoring, reverencing, and nurturing that God and Goddess within until it is manifest without. And we can't do that unless we ourselves love ourselves, so that we can love our neighbors as ourselves. So when we see the greatness in ourselves, we can then help others to manifest it. And so I'm honored that you shared that with us about the different dimensions of love, because it really is not what it is used for today. Just like you were talking about just like how you talk about in your book, how hope is not properly represented. Love is the same way.
Yeah.
They're both two and powerful concepts that are, the cornerstones of life that are not truly understood. And so thank you for sharing.
Certainly.
How many, in Hebrew, how many is it the use of the word love? the degrees of them that we use for love, and they have it broke down into. I studied that in seminary, but it's been a long time ago.
It's the Jewish community. The Jewish community has 8 different pillars of like charity, or if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Or then Romans, they have 3 because they have agape, Philippo, and eros. I'm not sure which one you're relating to, but those are the 2 I'm familiar with.
Yeah. But we use love in many inaccurate, I think, realms. We could be more clear of what we're actually meaning.
Okay. So if you have read the chapter on pure love, I don't know if you have or not yet, there are many quotes from many famous people in there that talk about love, and I won't go into those.
So is love the next chapter? Am I on the right line then?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure I missed a week there, and I just want to make sure I hadn't fallen behind somewhere there. Okay.
Well, I've slowed down a little bit. I'm not, I said this is going to take 6 weeks. It may take a little longer because I think that one of the things that folks need some time for is to absorb some of the talks we're having. For instance, most of us have not written our omnipotence statement. So they've written their honesty statement. They haven't written their omnipotence statement. We're heading into the pure love chapter. So we're taking our time, Darlene. I'm not going to rush it. I want to make sure that everybody feels good about where they're going. I don't want people to feel left behind. I don't want people to feel like that we're not helping them as much as we can with where they want to go. So I think when you stepped out last week or something, I told everybody that we were going to do this a little bit differently from what I normally do. And so we did a talk on omnipotence last week, and I asked them to go back and do their honesty piece. This week I'm doing some on pure love and asking them to go back and do their omnipotence piece, which is a little bit backwards from what I normally do, but that's okay. It's what we need to do to help people get where they need to be. So, all right. So in the love piece and honesty navigation, when you start really looking at the honesty of how you're approaching things, how we identify our lack of love in our life is really important. Because we all lack it. I mean, there's a tremendous lack of pure love in our human tribe across all of us, and I think it's because we don't really understand. I'll give you an example. When I went into a 8th grade class to do a hope seminar, these were all very young people who were struggling and were in what they call discipline class, I guess you'd call it. And I went in there to do a real quick hope seminar just for an afternoon. And I got to the love part. And I can teach this in about 6 hours. If I can do it in a fun way. But I looked at this one young lady, I looked her in the eyes and I said, I love you. And she was offended. She got offended by it. And all the teachers were in the background. The teachers and the principal were in the back of the room. And that was a good thing because I did, I'm glad they were there. But I told this young lady that I loved her, and she was offended by it. And it took me a few minutes to help her understand what I meant. And then finally, when she actually simmered down and looked me in the eyes, she was a different person about it. It takes some exercise to be able to get to a point where you can walk into a room with people and look at them and they don't feel any fear or standoffish behavior about you. It takes work. I can do that now. But it took work. It takes a bit. But I now can go into a room and I'm pretty happy about the fact that I can do this. Now there are times when I will walk into a room where I don't want to be. And it's very hard for me to be a pure loving individual when I walk into a room and I know right away. Because when you get to the point where we're at right now, and I think that you guys are probably getting there too, where you have an intuition about you, where when you walk into a room, you want to turn around and get the heck out of there. You don't want to be there. But anyway. So this is going to take some work. It takes some exercise to be able to shed the lack of love. And of course, the first step of it is to come at it with the honesty piece. It's difficult for people to be able to look at others and say, I love you. Because we've been misguided by so many people. In the environment that we grew up in, we've been treated as though love is this weird contract thing or this weird sexual thing or whatever. And it's amazing how many people have never been in the woods and been able to experience the love of nature. And I think that probably that would be one of the best things for people to even be able to do is to be able to just go out for an hour where they've never been there before, just if they can just sit still for 30 minutes and just listen and watch, they can start experiencing the love. But people are so wrapped up with their lives in the city and all the stuff around it, it's very difficult to do. The most beautiful example of pure love is a mother and a newborn baby. When you look, and I was with my wife with all three of my kids in the delivery room. There is nothing more beautiful than the new baby and mom, and the husband too, and the daddy. Okay, nothing more beautiful. That is the most phenomenal expression of pure love that there is. And we were created to do that. And when you look at a mom in that natural state with baby laying on her breast and that look that she has, that is the pure love that you just once you've experienced it, you know that is the epitome of creation looking you in the eyes. I don't know why God would make that so painful. I don't know why women have to go through that pain. But I think that's part of how that pure love ends up emanating is after that pain. But I think that you probably understand, Kai, you made a very good statement about the darkness and the evil that we have, the easy path, the path of least resistance that people take when they're tempted by these things that give us stimulation. And I think that, when you do the hate table, in your pure love exercise in the workshop, in the workbook that'll come to light for you, for a lot of you. For the hate table is you got to, this is a painful exercise. I'll give you some examples and then you weight them about why it's so negative in your life. And this is where we get into forgiveness. This is where we get into trying to shed some of this stuff that's really painful. Some examples are: I hate a parent, I hate my pastor, I hate a sibling, I hate my teacher. Why is it negative in my life? I hate a parent because my dad raped me. I hate a pastor because my pastor had sex with my mom, or my pastor had sex with my brother. I hate a sibling because my brother is loved more. I hate my teacher because she always singles me out. I hate people of a different color because they look funny or because I think they look funny. I hate my religion because they hate my religion. I hate for politicians because all politicians are corrupt. And then you put a weight on it. And then you go through an exercise about how to forgive and shed the pain that's avoided, that's associated with that. I'm going to wrap up tonight. It's getting late. I want you to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And I want you to read your omnipotence chapter. I'd like for you to start exercising pure love. Anybody got any last minute things they want to say before we wrap it up? Everybody asleep?
How can we sleep with you exciting us? Getting us, you know, it's exciting, but it's calming. You know, we've really had a busy time. You know, we had a really awesome Friday and Saturday with, you know, with the longevity leadership mastery. And, you know, we're still kind of, you know, winding down, kind of, you know, really trying to fit it all in. And when you get to that point of calmness after that exciting and you know, so much new information coming at you, things that you hadn't looked in a certain way, and then be able to sit back and kind of let it absorb in. That's kind of, I feel like you helped this absorb it in. You know, is to sit back and listen to the calmness instead of the rah. You know,
Yeah.
and often so much of the network marketing and so many of it is, you know, it's really, you know, getting you on the edge type of thing and keeping you really enthusiastic and etc. But then to be able to just to sit back and say, oh, I can just take that moment to let it absorb in, and in some of the things that you said kind of even knocked some of the pieces of some of the things that I heard into place, you know, to give it that what you call gelling, so to speak. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
I'm glad I can help.
Well, that's that openness, that omnipotent is, it's really, you know, is being able to have the ability to honestly speak with people and not feel like you're going to be judged or criticized, but just accepted. You know, I may not agree with everything a person says, but you know, I'm just accepting it. If they're open to suggestions or different points of view, they'll let themselves know.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're finding it helpful. I'm glad that people are being refreshed by it. And so next week, I'd like for you guys to please try to do your omnipotence. Please read your pure love. Please read the chapter. And I'll try to do a good deed for someone this week. One of the things that I try to do is try to pay it forward. And one of the things that got Hope Institute going was Karen and I, every Thanksgiving we go out and we give blankets away to homeless people. We fix meals for people. Easter time, I do a cookout for homeless folks. And we'll be in a grocery store somewhere and we'll see someone who is obviously in need and we'll just pay their grocery bill. Whether we can or not, we're not rich people. We're not somebody who has a lot of money. But then that got us thinking about how we could help other people with Hope Institute by helping people. If people can donate to the Hope Institute, then we can help even more. That's how we got started with the Hope Institute idea, is by getting donations and helping us to help families in need. And now we're trying to build a Hope Institute, and that'll come about too. So anyway, try to be nice to somebody this week. As part of your pure love, exercise your thought patterns about what pure love means. And that's all I got tonight.
You remember what Oprah Winfrey said, random acts of kindness.
That's right. Random acts of kindness.
Yep.
That's how you change the world.
Yeah. All right, everybody, I love you. I know that we're only going to have about half of a recording this night. Sorry about that. But I think we did get the pure love lesson recorded. So that's the important part. This is pure love. This is the pure love lesson. So we did it. So you guys have a good week, the rest of it. And I'll get this recording out to you guys later on. I love you. And I'll see you next Tuesday. And have a great week.
You too. Bye, everybody.
Love you all.
Love you too. Love you all.